The worst thing about each main character from Outlander. While fans have fallen in love with the characters of time-traveling romance series Outlander, every character, from Claire to Jamie, has their flaws. Since Outlander has been on the air for 5 years, fans have watched several characters undergo huge developments. Claire is now a spectacular hardcore surgeon, Jamie is one of the most compassionate individuals you will ever meet, even Brianna is one of the bravest people in the show, continuously putting her life on the line to protect others. However, that's not to say there isn't any room for improvement. There are many things fans would like to change about their favorite characters. Would you like some examples? Keep reading to discover the worst things about each character. 10. Ian, a pushover. Ian is one of the more generous characters in the series. However, this is also his greatest weakness, as his willingness to help has also made him look like a pushover. On several occasions, many of his so-called friends have taken advantage of Ian's generosity because they knew he wouldn't fight back. In the watch, Ian says nothing when the group set fire to a wagon of hay and welcomed themselves to his tobacco. Ian also allowed Jamie to use the family funds to pay off his blackmailer, even though they were meant to support the household. It would be great if Ian stood his ground at least once. 9. Jenny, a troublemaker. Jenny Fraser holds a special place in fans' hearts. She's loud, brave, and takes no nonsense from anyone. However, that's not to say the older Fraser sibling doesn't have her flaws. For one, the housewife has proven to be a troublemaker. This was particularly seen in First Wife when she purposely caused a fight between Jamie and Claire by inviting Loire to Lallybroch. Although Jenny said it was because Loire deserved to know of her husband's return, in reality, it was to get revenge on Claire for not telling her she was alive. Jenny can be very spiteful sometimes. 8. Murtaugh, blind loyalty to Jamie. Murtaugh is another fan-favorite character who is just as flawed as all the others. While many have praised the Scotsman for being the one constant figure in Jamie's life, it is also this blind loyalty that is the worst thing about him. Especially since this is the reason he has just been killed. With Jamie now fighting for the English, Murtaugh's concerns should have lain with the regulators. However, the Ballad of Roger Mackenzie saw Murtaugh take out one of his soldiers to save Jamie's life. Unfortunately, Murtaugh died as he was then shot by one of Jamie's men. His loyalty to Jamie was always going to be his downfall. 7. Marsali, judgmental. Fans might not be able to envision the show without Marsali's comic relief, but it did take a while to warm up to the housewife. Why? Because she was very judgmental of Claire and her relationship with Jamie. After finding out that Jamie had left her mother for Claire, Marsali wasn't the most welcoming character. For instance, in the doldrums, Marsali called Claire a prostitute and a witch because of the stories Loire told her. She also wasn't interested in getting to know her father's first wife. Marsali's snide and judgmental remarks were one of the reasons why it took so long for fans to appreciate her. 6. Fergus, his attitude. Fergus Fraser may appear to be the perfect gentleman now, but his teenage years proved he was anything but. When fans first met Fergus, he was portrayed as a rebellious, mouthy teenager. Since he was a professional pickpocket, Fergus was also very arrogant and cocky. However, his arrogance proved to be detrimental as it got him into trouble. A prime example was in the episode Surrender, where Fergus ends up losing his hand after he taunted the Redcoats for trying to outsmart him. This penchant for trouble could have got a lot of other people into trouble too, so it's good that he's got it under control now. 5. Frank, conniving. Frank may have been husband of the year in the eyes of the public, but behind closed doors it was a completely different story. The historian is actually a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's not as devilish as Jack Randall and Stephen Bonnet, but he can be a very cruel man. For instance, in All Debts Paid, Frank invited his mistress to Claire's graduation party because he wanted to humiliate her. Frank almost ruined her relationship with Bree when he revealed he was going to take her to England. Worst of all, Frank knew Jamie was alive and didn't say anything. He was so conniving in his last years. For Roger, his old-fashioned ideologies. It's no secret that Roger isn't exactly a fan-favorite character. Although the historian likes to think he is a respectable and old-fashioned gentleman, he has proven on many occasions to be anything but. For instance, despite being a notorious womanizer, Roger then dared to degrade Brianna's virtue after she refused to marry him. Roger infuriated fans further in Wilmington when he stated that Bri had to obey him now she was his wife. He says he wants what is best for her, but his behavior signifies that she may have been better off without him. 3. Brianna, idolization of Frank. One of the worst aspects of Brianna's character was how much she idolized Frank. Everyone knows Frank holds a special place in Bri's heart. However, what was most annoying about the relationship was the fact that she placed him on a pedestal. When Bri found out Frank wasn't her father, she immediately jumped to his defense and wished Claire was dead. She also made Jamie feel insignificant by constantly comparing him to Frank. It's not fair for her to lash out considering Frank wasn't as perfect as she believed he was. 2. Jamie, his temper. Although some Outlander fans believe Jamie is the perfect man for Claire, he's far from the perfect human being. Like everybody else, Jamie has proven to be just as flawed. However, if fans had to pick, the worst thing about the Scotsman had to be his temper. On several occasions, Jamie has let his anger overrule his rationality. In Season 1, Jamie beat Claire because she disobeyed him. In Season 4, he also nearly beat Roger to death because of a misunderstanding. His violent outbursts are quite horrific. 1. Claire, playing God. Out of all the characters on Outlander, fans know Claire like the back of their hand. They know how she thinks, what she feels, and why she does what she does. They also know that Claire has an annoying habit of tempting fate when she tries to play God. For example, Claire has just rewritten a significant part of history by inventing penicillin 150 years before it was discovered. Ultimately, this would have massive repercussions on the future. Her actions could also have ramifications on scientific research. Yet Claire seems unbothered by this, which is quite arrogant and worrying.